For me, that was important just because I think, as these organizations grow, it's really important to get the perspective of young professionals, the perspective of women, and each of these groups has so much to contribute that I think that an organization is really stronger, more innovative when it has all these different perspectives. One of the things that were probably the biggest accomplishment from their perspective may have been sort of creating this new committee called the Young Professionals Committee, which was how we diversified and expanded our membership base. For me, it was important to get set up not only for getting these different perspectives that I mentioned, but really also looking at how we could have an organization that was more sustainable, where you had a membership base that continued to grow, to contribute to the activities of the Chamber of Commerce. My career trajectory has always been, in the environment, and so right now I work in climate change. What has been great about working with the private sector in Indonesia was saying, now we're looking at climate change policies that will reduce emissions, but it's not just about the public sector, about governments, right? It's also looking at how can we create the right environment through policy reforms, through innovative financial mechanisms that are really going to catalyze private investments. And again, the government and the private sector have to be partners in order to really achieve change, to drive that. And so that was a really important lesson, I think, from EMDAP. For me, it was really important, and I had a really fantastic experience. It was so wonderful to work with the Chamber of Commerce. We had this great board of advisors who were really high-level businessmen, very competent, really innovative, and just looking at somebody who was a recent graduate, I think if I had sort of taken my next career step and stayed here, that I would never have had access to, like the country director of ExxonMobil, or like a vice president from Freeport McMoran. So all of these firms that I would never even think to work with here, or maybe even have that access to, that was really impressive. It's just a really great practice for people who may otherwise just decide, okay, well, this is how we do it in the United States, this is how it has to be done, and to recognize that if you want to get into development, if you want to work internationally, that it's not sort of only where you're coming from, but it's sort of this compromise of the culture and environment that you're in, and how you can adapt the wonderful practices, the education that you have to really help somebody else.